So hello everyone. Welcome to we have a talk, the making of Turnip Boy commits tax evasion. Yeah. All right. So who are we? I'm Yukon. I'm a Becker College grad. RIP. I handle the programming, design, pixel art, and business junk at Snoozy Kazoo. We both ship posts on Twitter. I've been making games for about 12 years now. And I'm an ex-hobbyist and contractor.
Hi, I'm Jen. I'm also a Becker College grad, also RIP. I handle UI UX, vector art, writing, product design, and game design at Snoozy Kazoo. We both ship posts on Twitter, and I really got my foot in the door for game design through UI UX. Obviously, we're only two people, so we both had to take up a lot of different jobs. But I've worked at various companies, software companies. I've worked with Meta Games, and I do a lot of freelance for Fable Vision as well.
This is Turnip Boy. We have a trailer. I don't know if audio is working, but it's a video game.
Probably not.
Okay, this is fair. I do feel like a good amount of people have seen the game though, so we can skip over it. But yeah, Turnip Boy. Okay, there we go.
Sweet. So what is Turnip Boy commits tax evasion? You take control of an adorable turnip who happens to be an absolute menace to society. After failing to pay taxes and getting evicted from your home, you must go on an epic quest to pay back your massive debt to Mayor Onion. Garden tools to solve fantastic puzzles, meet eccentric vegetables and fruits, and take on treacherous fights against animals both big and small. Along the journey, uncover what's spoiling this garden community and rise to tear down the corrupt vegetable government. By the way, this pitch took about 5 iterations to get down.
Yeah, we also had graffiti games jump on it too. So pitching's hard. All right, so the origins of Turnip Boy. So the game started as an attempt at Ludumdare 41, which I quickly lost motivation on and canceled. The game was actually revived in the summer of 2019 when Jen and I we were brainstorming new game ideas in a friendlies late at night. And so when we met because we were working on a contract together for Meta Games, and so we ended up working all day, and then later at night I was talking to her about I want to make something, something just for fun, maybe a portfolio piece. But I don't really know what to do. I was fresh off the cancellation of one of my other prototypes. It was like a coffee game. It was a mobile game where you run a coffee shop and talk to people that show up, and you get to know them. You learn their favorite drinks, and they all have stories. And so I canceled that, and I was like, what the heck do I do? I went to Jen about it, and we just started brainstorming off of the Ludumdare game that I made a while ago. And then I think Jen actually pitched, because I remember I was like, why is he trying to get back into a greenhouse?
And Jen, that was the big goal that you brought to me. I think you were like, I want the ending of the game for Turnip Boy to come back into the greenhouse, but why is he coming back into the greenhouse? And I think I had said maybe some sort of crime or something, and then kind of tax evasion came up. And at that time we were like, oh, that's funny, but that's kind of dumb. You know?
We definitely didn't really like that as an idea. And then we ended up kind of trying to find something else until we eventually looped back to tax evasion. We're like, I guess this is it.
Yeah, I think we were trying to create something a little bit more serious, but then we kind of embraced the silliness of Turnip Boy commits tax evasion as the main theme.
Yeah. And so that's how it started. Let's see. So around that time, after it kind of kicked off, I ended up starting kind of a new, different approach for game dev, for me at least. I wanted to go more documentation focused, not necessarily saying oh, we're going to document the shit out of this game. I think there's probably 10, 20 comments in the entire code base. But when it comes to, I guess, more of planning documentation, I wanted to kind of know exactly what I'm making. because for the longest time, my projects were a lot more like free form and they fell apart very easily. So part of that was I wanted to set some pillars for myself. And these pillars were things that basically I could not go against, and every decision that I made going forward would have to be like run through the pillars. And so they started with primarily it being short. I wanted to make something small, something very both small development time. I didn't want to spend 6 years of my life on it. And then I also wanted to make something short gameplay wise. I know a lot of people who got Turnip Boy want more content, and that's something we're working on. But the goal of the game was to be a very small, kind of respectful experience, which brings me to the two other pillars. We wanted the game to be very lighthearted. We wanted it to be extremely goofy. We didn't want to take anything really too seriously. It started as a meme game. It was just something I wanted to do for my portfolio. And then it definitely spiraled out of control, but we wanted to maintain that, like, hey, this is a game we're making for fun, and we wanted to keep that even while we ventured more into the business side of it. And then our last pillar is respect, and this is something I feel very strongly about. So throughout the game, we wanted to give hints. We wanted the game to feel less like a stressful experience and more like stress relief. We wanted someone to be able to pick up Turnip Boy after like a shitty day at work, or like after it, like have it be some type of a comfort game that they could go to just kind of relax. We also wanted to do somewhat of a clear 100% condition. I know like I'm a completionist. I know a lot of other completionists that don't like how a lot of games will like kind of make 100%ing it some weird like obscure task where you have to like do this one side quest that isn't apparent that you had to do. So we wanted to try to like really build that in where it's like, this is how you 100% and finish the game and get all the achievements and do all that. And then we also wanted to make it the game able to be put down at any time. This is something that one of my favorite game developers, JW, has been kind of pioneering for a bit. I believe he uses the term bus stops, but basically we'll want people to be able to have an ending that they feel comfortable with, even if they didn't get everything out of it. So I didn't really want to like, pull the player back, force them to do some type of grinding. And that I feel like that goes hand in hand with it being short. We tried to keep the game relatively clean of anything that would basically add hours for no reason. Or at least hours that aren't worth it. So yeah, those are our pillars.
Sweet. So after we set the pillars, we felt it was really important to kind of set the groundwork of the plot and what would happen throughout Turnip Boy, kind of give ourselves an idea of how the gameplay would like play out. So we laid out the entire plot through a Google Doc. I remember we kind of just sat down for a couple hours and just went through all of it. It was a very fun process. But yeah, we fleshed out the world. We started working on like dungeons. We began to rough out like a vague idea of what we wanted for each dungeon as well. And this was a very fluid thing. We did this through the entirety of development. So as needed, we would go in and kind of lay out like puzzles or like items or missions that we would need. It didn't look pretty, as you can see with these screenshots, but it definitely got the job done. I think a big thing is because we're only like really two people working on the development. It's like, as long as we can both understand it, it works.
Yeah, exactly.
And then, Yukon did build a demo for Boston Fig 2019, and it included all the features you see in these screenshots as well.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, okay. And these are really fun as well. But basically throughout development, as we needed different screens or just different characters, Yukon and I would brainstorm kind of what that would look like. You can see Yukon's MS Paint interpretation and then what I kind of created after that. And we have a couple of those as well. as you can as you can see, Yukon doesn't like sketching humans. So
Yeah.
for a long
sketched-
time, Liz was just like, for any boss intro for her, that's what would come up on the screen, was just Liz.
Yeah, I drew every other boss except for Liz. I was like, nope, not doing it. So yeah, the writing in Turnip Boy, it's one of the things we get a lot of comments on. It was largely inspired by Frog Detective, which is by Grace. I don't want to butcher her last name, Bruxner, I think.
I think that's how you say it.
Yeah. So we watched her talk building games around humor, as well as we played all the Frog Detective games. I'm so excited that the third one just got announced. And yeah, we very heavily took that and kind of ran with it. Part of that was each character that we write specifically has a specific goal or personality type that we pushed to create situational humor within the game. That was a big thing that we focused on when creating all the different characters.
I think a big thing with creating the characters as well is like, we didn't really like sit down and just create a full script and then implemented it. What we did was we kind of ran through the game, saw where the characters were, and kind of reworked it as we developed the game. It was very free form, and I think that helped us create, again, the situational humor, but also just come up with things on the fly that we thought were funny. And we kind of got that like flow of like creating characters, and if we wanted to add a character, we would just add it and kind of build onto the humor that way too. So it definitely wasn't super rigid. As you can see, that's the Pickle Gang on the bottom right. They are a mafia gang that is trying to escape their jail, aka their pickle jar. And that wasn't a character planned in the very beginning. We kind of added them later on. So it was a very fun process.
Yeah. Speaking of that, there's actually recently I can kind of I guess talk about it. We were finishing the content update. That's actually done on our end. And I remember there was a time where Jen was on vacation and she came back. And so I was mainly working on it by myself for a bit. And then Jen came back and I needed like a bit of art from her. So we hopped in a call and she just started pitching because I was like, yeah, we need to write some dialogue for some characters. And she like, I think you came up with 2 to 3 characters on the spot and we implemented them like that. And
Yeah.
so there's quite a few new characters in the content update that we're really happy about. So yeah, so marketing for Turnip Boy. So yeah, so Jordan Kegler, he was part of Snoozy. He has left us for Rockstar. We miss him, but also I can't believe this betrayal. He worked on creating a lot of shit posts and memes for a TikTok and Twitter, which were very important for building visibility throughout the industry. And that helped us land graffiti and then to also drive wish lists. And then at one point, he pushed us to make a TikTok account and make some TikToks for it. And that ended up leading to like a major spike in our wish lists. Like we did not anticipate any of the response on TikTok, and that just kind of blew up. And we're like, holy shit, what? We're still trying to figure it all out. Jordan has left us. We miss him deeply. So we're kind of learning how to do marketing from what he's left behind. So that's why we've been dead a little bit recently, but we're working on it. We're trying to get more content up on all the different platforms.
I think something we definitely took from like Jordan was to kind of be aware of what's going on, I guess, in social media platforms, what's like up and rising, and just try it out. Because I mean, we didn't really, I mean, the posts that we made for the TikToks weren't the highest quality. I mean, they were just like shit posts, really. I mean, some of them we did put a lot of effort in, but the main point was that we got a lot of engagement with them and people enjoyed it. So if we didn't try that, we wouldn't have gotten that like big wish list push. And that happened kind of right before launch, which helped visibility. So really just try to see what works and what doesn't work and just have fun with it.
Yeah, that TikTok spike was disgusting. It was we showcased the game at Mix, and the spike we got from that was about the same size as the spike we got from TikTok, which was disgusting. because it was completely free, you know. um, so yeah, when it comes to the timeline and how everything kind of just worked out, we ended up starting the game in May 2019. That's when we kind of set up the pillars. Development started. We made a demo for Boston Fig, and we had a very positive response. It was the first time that there was ever a line to play one of my games. That was wild. That was an interesting experience. And so that kind of pushed our focus from like a dumb meme game to an actual product. I remember while we were there, Walt Yarborough, that's a name a lot of Becker kids will know, but I don't know if anyone else will. But he used to be a producer at oh god, what's the game? Jen, do you remember? Damn.
Not off the top of my head.
It was a big game. It was like a big MMO, but he came to us and he actually ridiculed me for I think like a half an hour because I had no business plan, and I was like, I don't know, man, I'm making a meme game. So yeah, that kind of started it, and that shifted like the actual goal to like, hey, maybe this can be like a real video game.
I will say, like, we've worked on a lot of games together in the past with like other people as well. And we've always been excited about the games we've worked on, just like having fun, like just iterating every time we make a new game. But I would say this one was definitely the one where it's like, oh wow, people are actually interested in this.
Yeah.
Like, and like we could see the potential in it. It kind of clicked. And we had been like working on games for like, I guess mostly all of Becker, like 3 or 4 years before we got to the point where we got to like, oh, this is clicking with people. So it took a bit.
Yeah, it was definitely interesting too, because I remember that the point in which we decided to take it seriously. I think it was me and you. We were driving back from Fig, and I was so resistant. I was like, I do not want to make this game about money. I'm like, we've tried that. We had some failures, we had fun doing it, but we didn't get anything rolling. I'm like, I just want to make something dumb and go get a AAA job. And I'm glad I was broken on that. So yeah, after that, we ended up kind of iterating a lot based on feedback. We actually, during that point, so when we showcased it at Boston Fig, the game used a completely different main mechanic. So throughout the game, there's the plants you can water. And originally it was like this whole seed-based system, and it was wild, and there wasn't even an inventory, and it was crazy. We actually reworked like a lot of the game after Boston Fig. I remember I remade the entire map from scratch too, because the tile map solution, Unity tile maps, was so bad, and it like lagged. Do not store Unity tile maps in prefabs. Don't do that. That will destroy your computer. And so we iterated a lot. We rewrote a lot of things. We started like posting. I remember I did Devtober, which was like 30 days of like dev progress. And we started building like an online presence, started to get the game out there into the industry.
We've done a talk about kind of building that online presence, but I would say the key things was really doing research. Like one of the big things we did was like post to Reddit. We would go to different like subreddits, figure out like what the best time to post, figure out what the top posts looked like. Just a lot of research. We created media lists, figured out which like YouTubers would be interested in playing Turnip Boy based off of kind of like our comps. So it was a lot of just like creating media lists and trying to get our name out there, because the big thing is when we like wanted a publisher to kind of see interest in Turnip Boy, if they researched or like looked up Turnip Boy in Google, like what would come up. And that was our big thing. Like we didn't really know much, but we were like, if someone can look up Turnip Boy and something comes up, then that's like a pretty good start. So that's kind of like for that point where, yeah.
Yeah, no, exactly. And yeah, so I think actually in between early 2020, we didn't put this in here, but we ended up releasing a demo.
Oh yeah, that's actually really important.
Yeah, I forgot about putting that in there, but yeah, we released a demo of the first section of the game up to the after you give Mayor Onion the fertilizer. When we released the demo, that's all that was in the game. There was nothing else. I think there was like bits of the farmhouse, but nothing like concrete. And So we released that and funneled people into a Discord, into like a community, because we wanted to see if there was actual interest in the game and if people actually like wanted, more and more. And that popped off. Like our around that time, I think we had like 300 members, and that was like insane for us. Like, holy shit.
Oh yeah. Well, it was really cool because beforehand, when we made Discords for our games, it was always kind of our immediate friend group that would join. So like maybe like 20 people. But once kind of random strangers became interested, we were like, oh my God, like this is kind of cool.
It's so weird that like I can go on the Discord and just like talk to people I've never met. And like it's like, oh, you guys like Turnip Boy. That's awesome. Like, holy shit. Yeah, it definitely it's been interesting. I've been like I feel like we've been learning how to community manage, and that's a challenge in itself. Shout out to Savannah. Savannah has helped us so much. But yeah, and also shout out to our mods. Holy shit, y'all do a lot. But what's it called? Yeah, it's been like a learning experience, and but it's been really awesome because it was one of the most important things that we actually were able to use to like prove that people wanted the game. Having people actually be there and talking helps a ton, believe it or not. If you want to support any type of game developer, join their Discord and talk. Like that's insane. That shit does a lot. But yeah, we started building an online presence, both in the gamer ecosystem and in the games industry. We ended up winning Best in Show at Game Challenge 2020, as well as like our category and People's Choice, which actually got us to PAX. It got us to be part of the Master G PAX booth. And that's actually where we met the majority of the publishers that we were talking to. We met them all in person, and Graffiti kind of hunted us down. That they were the only publisher that like came to us, and that was a wild experience. But yeah, so we from then we started talking to pubs. We talked to a lot. We talked to a lot of industry developers about our pitch deck. That went through like, oh God, I don't know how many revisions.
Yeah, that's definitely a big thing to take out of this as well, is definitely ask for help from people who have done it before, because we've never done it before. And the community is awesome and a lot of people are willing to help. So just, I mean, hey, if you guys need us to take a look, we do have a little bit of experience now. And if anyone wants to reach out, feel free. But yeah, definitely talk to the people in the community network. It's really, really important. And a lot of people are very helpful and kind. So
yeah, shout out to Bill Gardner. Bill Gardner carried. He like, oh God, the first pitch deck we sent him was rough. And then he like sat with us and like, I think we had like a 2-hour long call, and he like explained everything. Like, this is why you put this here. He's great. I love the guy. So yeah, we pitched to a lot of different publishers. Around that time, Graffiti was also messaging us. We messaged them back, and then we ended up signing with them. When we were like about to sign with them, we struggled and like rapidly just started a business, or like, oh shit, we need a legal entity, like we need something. So we started Snoozy Kazoo. That was fun coming up with that name. That was interesting. I think we went through like, oh God, like 200 different names to find that one. It was rough.
Specifically because of like copyright and trademark, just like, it wasn't because of our indecisiveness. We definitely had a couple names beforehand, but it's more about the eligibility of the name, and not getting sued.
I'm still mad. We were this close to naming the studio Toothpaste Mailbox, but Jen kept yelling at me. But yeah, after that, we pretty much just worked until we launched. We revamped a lot of the elements of the game based on publisher needs. One of the big things that we ended up doing for them is we added another dungeon, and that was to extend content. Originally, the Forgotten Forest wasn't even included. And we just kept going until we launched on April 22nd. We tried to hit tax day, we failed. I believe it was actually an issue with Nintendo Lot Check. So yeah, it was sad, but we still launched. That's something. And I feel like one of the big things that this all boils down to is we ended up getting really lucky, but we had to create that luck. So, I feel like there's a lot of indies that will have talks and come and tell you like, oh, I did this, you can do it too. Like it's easy, get that bread. And it's like it's such a gamble, like um we were very lucky to be able to we won game challenge and we went to PAX and we were able to talk to a bunch of pubs. That was lucky in itself. Our situation, like our living situations, I graduated right out of college that December, and then my parents let me live with them. And so like, you know, I'm lucky to have that option. And then, Jen and Jordan were still in school. And so like we didn't really have too much I guess need to have income.
Yeah, I
Um
guess if I was graduated and was working on Turnip Boy, like that's when we started, I would definitely it would be a struggle because I would have more bills, like loan payments would start hitting, and it's like kind of that in between period where we're just trying to kick it off and we don't have the funding yet, probably would have been a lot tougher.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we were lucky, like seriously. Indie's great. It's something that like if you want to make games and you really want to go indie, it's something worth trying. But like there's a lot of risks, and there's like just a chance that even if your game's the best thing in the planet, it won't succeed. And that sucks, and that's it's not great. But we ended up getting really lucky, which I'm very grateful for. Yeah, it's something that uh, you have to really try to build in your favor too.
Yeah,
Like
there's definitely things that you can do to increase the chance. And I think like the visibility online is a big thing.
yeah,
Like again, if someone can search your game and something comes up, whether it's like people playing it on YouTube or like there's a Discord link that pops up or different like articles that have been written because you posted a demo, like that all helps in like building your case. Um, and it's all really important.
yeah, yeah, exactly. So yeah, I guess to swap up the topic a little. Um,
Oh yeah, so a lot changed from our demo and initial plans to shipping the game. We tried to stay true to the original vision, but we didn't limit ourselves to what we thought was good game design back in 2019. We changed a few large things, such as replacing the seed system with the plant system, adding an extra dungeon, which is the Forgotten Forest, as well as large chunks of lore surrounding the ending of the game. Yeah, Turnip Boy was not a mafioso until last few months. I think when we added the pickled gang, is when we're like, oh wow, like this could actually be cool part of the lore if and really ridiculous if Turnip Boy was part of the mafia. Um,
yeah,
and I won't spoil anymore, but yeah, there is mafia in the game. And then yeah, the last dungeon was revamped late in development. So yeah, sometimes you just have to trust your gut. Game design documents are great for planning, but they shouldn't limit your creative freedom. I think it's really important to lay the groundwork, get an idea of what you're trying to create. But at the end of the day, it's like it should be fun. And I think the best parts come from that brainstorming and iterating and just having fun with it. So yeah.
exactly.
Oh, also like the pillars just help so much too, because you can kind of still have fun with it, but you still have that like concrete thing that's never going to change. And you could like any decision you come up with on the fly, you still have to refer to those pillars. And I think that's also really important. It helps with scope.
Big agree. So yeah, the results. So we ended up surviving development. That was cool. We released it on Steam and Switch. We've gotten an overwhelmingly positive review score on Steam, which is over 2.4 thousand reviews, which is insane. I definitely tried to tide it a little because I added cat ears and asked everyone to rate for cat ears. And that cat ears was actually a reward for hitting overwhelmingly positive. So I'm glad those are in the game now. So yeah, we've sold over 100,000 units, which is insane. I God, I don't even know how to process that number. I still haven't begin processing it. We've sold shirts, plushies, posters, and we just announced our physical version That's coming to a local retailer near you. You're gonna be able to buy it in stores, which is insane. I actually pre-ordered it at GameStop the other day, which was wild. And then yeah, our content update should be launching soon. We're actually completely done on our end. I pushed the push button. I think I actually just need to build it, and then we're waiting on Nintendo for some stuff. And then our next game's pretty much funded, kinda. So we want to make another one. Yeah, that's what happened. Yeah.
Sweet. So our final thoughts. There isn't any set way to make games. We built the groundwork, but a lot changed, and that's okay. We wanted to have fun with it. We took it seriously, but kept a distance enough where it wasn't our baby. We wanted to mess around and see what we could do. And I just think that's really important because it's really easy to get super attached to your game. And it's nice to an extent, but if you're so attached that you can't see like what needs to be changed with your game, it just leads to trouble, and you might just be working on it for a really long time and you won't be able to just get it out because all you want is perfection. We just wanted to see what we could do. We wanted to have fun with it. And throughout all of development, we tried to keep it like, again, just fun and lighthearted. And then communication is key. Again, Yukon and I worked on a lot of projects, like a bunch of game jams, a bunch of contracts together, and we were able to build that repertoire where we felt like we could jump onto a project like this and succeed. And it still takes work. Like it's still like transparency is really important and just being honest, but definitely building that communication with your teammates is really important.
We definitely had to go through like an extra step too, because me and Jen were friends before we were like coworkers. And that's hard. That shit's like hard as hell. We had quite a few arguments, disagreements, and things that we had to work out before we got to the point where like I think right now we're pretty well oiled. Like we crank shit out, and I'm really happy about that. But it takes time. You have to learn.
And just be super transparent in the beginning because obviously the legal backing super important. If we negotiate on something, we can't really have any disagreements at the end of it because we talked about it, we're honest about it, super transparent, and it's all in writing. So don't do any funny business with your coworkers. Just be honest, and it might be uncomfortable, but if you just get it out of the way, it'll save you so much less stress like later on. It's just so important.
It's uncomfortable in the moment, but the minute that like you get it figured out and situated, it prevents it from being uncomfortable for a year or two,
exactly,
or the rest of your life,
or ruin our friendship, and it's not worth it at that point.
It's something difficult that you can work through, but just be very aware, because I definitely don't think I thought about it too much until we were in the heat of it, and it was like, oh god, we've got to figure out how this works.
And next game, it's like now we'll just get better at it, like right off the bat, like we'll know exactly what we need to do to both be happy with the next game. So
exactly. So and that's our talk. That's everything. I think we're taking questions.
Yeah, we'll take some questions. You guys have the Twitch channel open?
Yes, I'm looking at
twitch.tv/Boston Indies. If folks in the chat have questions, yes, I'm sorry we don't have the bit show set up, so I can't actually do like nice clapping sound effects, but I'll clap. It'll probably sound sad because it's just one person. If you got questions, drop them in the chat. I'll actually, well, first off, let me just say it was a great talk. Thank you guys so much. I feel like I've said this a million times, but like I'm so impressed by this game, and like you started this when you were in school, and it's like it's super polished, it's really well scoped. Just amazing.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.
So my question is, you mentioned that Graffiti was the only publisher that kind of sought you guys out. I'm curious, what were you looking for a publisher to start, or did that just kind of fall into place? Like, what were you looking to get out of a publisher relationship?
Yeah, so after Game Challenge, we definitely shifted our priorities to get a publisher, because I was out of school at that point, and it's like, people really like this, might as well try to make the indie dream happen. That's always been a dream of mine for years and years. You know, and it's also nice to be able to put bread on the table while you make a game. So we very much looked into getting a publisher. We went to PAX specifically with the goal of meeting publishers. We definitely were talking to a few other publishers while we were talking to Graffiti. I think we had like 2 other contracts as well that we were like pretty much there with. We ended up going with Graffiti because they were the most excited about the game. They actively sought us out during PAX. They like were the first ones to email us. Like we didn't email them, they emailed us.
To quickly add to that and to the luck aspect of it, I'm sure many of you know Gavin Camlin. He actually worked at the Graffiti booth and put in a good word as well, which helped them like look us up. So shout out to Gavin.
Yeah, no, holy shit, Gavin hooked us up.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, they were the most excited. You know, everything checked out with legal, like their contract was very healthy, very, very good. And yeah, they all seemed like great dudes. And so we signed with them. At the time, it felt like the right decision, and I stand by it. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, you guys can just go through the chat. Oh, sorry, you can keep on going, but whenever you're ready to start answering other questions, you can just go through the chat. I don't need to pick them out for you. I don't think, right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, no worries. Oh, I was just gonna add. I think you had asked like what were we looking for like in a publisher, and I think a lot of it was localization, porting, and obviously the funding as well. Which were all things that we like really couldn't do at the time because recently graduated and still in school. So.
Yeah, no, holy shit. All that stuff like came in clutch. So yeah. Subwoofer X4 asked why apple for the cats. Jen actually made the apple cats, so Jen.
I guess I don't really have a specific answer. I guess I just had a vision for like an apple cat, and then what we try to do is like if an animal in the game is like one fruit, we try to keep that trend. So that's kind of just how apple cats became. Well, also Cran, which is kind of like the weeb in the game. We thought like kind of like pairing her with like crazy cat lady would work well. So that's kind of how it worked out.
Yeah, we actually in the new content update we have a new animal. It's not a cat, but we have a new animal. So people gotta try to hunt them down when the update drops. Oh god, Gungus Wungus Jimmy asks, what was your biggest challenge during development? Oh god, that's a hard one. I think for me it was probably the business side. Learning how to start a company, you know, going through my lawyer, going through like all the different contracts and addendums and all that shit. That was the hardest because I've made games before. I've made a lot of them. And you know, while this one was massive and it was like definitely a challenge, it was probably the most difficult thing to like actually build the legal backing to like make it a real thing. That was probably my biggest challenge.
Especially when you're just fresh out of school and everyone's just like, oh, I want to just make a game. You know what I mean? But you never really think like, oh, I got to start a business too, and taxes, which is very ironic because Turnip Boy commits tax evasion. I would say my answer would be in the same vein, except I didn't start the business, Yukon did. But I would say us going through the initial process of like contracting, very nerve-wracking because again, we're friends. I don't want to like step on toes, but at the end of the day, it's like we both have to be honest about what we need from a contract. So that was probably the hardest part for me. Yeah,
it's something that we're very much working on. I'm hoping that like right now we're actually entering a pretty biz dev focused part of the studio. Like we're lining up contracts for future stuff. We're getting people onboarded, shit like that. So it's a process, and it's something that I hate doing. But I'm learning to do it, and hopefully it will be less and less tedious every time I do it. So yeah. Anything about the music from Autumn Scorpion? How did the music play a role in the storytelling? So our musicians, Flower Black, Jake Courier and Ryan Bourbon, they're wonderful. They were great. Jake at several points. So I had a lot of like meetings with them, kind of just me crashing their studio and just being like, hey, I need music, please. And what was it?
Just to add, they went to school with us as well, which was really cool. So they kind of started their audio studio, while Snoozy Kazoo was rising as well. So it was a cool experience.
No, it was definitely like it was a wild experience to kind of have two studios building up at the same time. So we bounced a lot of things off each other. But I would just like break into their what's it called? Their studio, and I would just be like, yo, I need like X, Y, or Z. And Jake would always hit me with like tons of different ideas about like, oh, like I think actually Liz, like the whole idea of the Liz fight came from Jake. So there was a lot of like back and forth with the musicians, and we definitely they dug deep into the game, and they had a very rich understanding of what we were going for. I've known Jake for years. He made music for some of my older games, as well as some of the games that we all worked together on. And he knows kind of how I think, and so he was really able to just nail what exactly I wanted.
They're super flexible on different music types too. So it's not just one type. In the game, you'll see like Vocaloid kind of stuff. You'll see there's an acoustic song at the very end, the credit song. There's jazz. There's like it's really cool.
Yeah. No, they've been absolutely great. I love those two. Okay. I guess the next question, Video Space Games. Are you able to share details about the publishing deal? What do they do for you? I don't know what exactly I am able to talk about, because I think I actually am under an NDA with them. But I can say that it's been very good. They've given us funding, QA, so like QA testing, we have a team for that. Localization, so we have, I think, 2 teams for that, or no, three teams for that. Oh my God. Oh, I just want to say this real quick. All Correct as a localization studio, they slap. They're so good. They've done so good local. I've heard shit that like the German localization for Turnip Boy is funnier than the actual English one. They're great. I nothing but praise. We got localization, we got porting support. So we didn't do the Switch port, and if Turnip Boy ends up getting ported to any other platform, we didn't do that. That's entirely on. We have a porting engineer, and am I forgetting anything key? Did I say they funded us? They funded us.
Yeah, they funded us. I would say they had a lot of connections to merch as well, like Makeship. Like that's how we were able to do the plush, and then the shirts and the posters as well, was all their connections. So
their connections have been insane. Like Alex Van Lepp has been like pulling crazy strings for marketing, and it's great.
They have a lot of connections, like different like avenues of outreach and stuff, which has helped a lot, kind of like the marketing behind the scenes, I would say.
One last thing I will add is that they've also done us like kind of a big favor, even though it's like not really something that I feel like most people would be happy about, but they put strict deadlines on development. And that was definitely like, so to clarify, that was set up with me. So me and Andy, the producer at Graffiti, we sat down and we figured out like when should certain things be done. We set up milestones. So, when we finish that specific goal, we get a payout. If we don't finish that specific goal, that payout gets delayed a little, but we keep up communication. It just helps because it really sets like, when you're working by yourself or in a small team, you can take however long you want. Like I think when we made the farmhouse, it was before we got the publisher. We like worked on it for 3 months. And there was a lot of iteration. There was a lot of like all over the place. After we got that structured like deadline timeline, it was like really great to just keep like momentum going and know what we need to prioritize and what we don't. So that was super helpful. So yeah, I hope that answers your question. I know I'm like dodging it a little, but I am under an NDA, so I don't know exactly what I can say, but overall it's been like very, very good. How do you avoid, I'm guessing that says scope creep. It's censored. Yeah, it's censored. That was not hidden correctly.
Oh, weird. Yeah, it says how do you avoid scope creep?
Yeah. We documented everything from the get-go. We had the planning pretty much figured out right away. We knew what the game was going to be. We had the pillars. And
I think the pillars is really the biggest one.
Yeah.
Because again, it's like any decision we make, we always have to go, all right, these are our 3 pillars. Is this going to fit within it? And one of them being having it be a short game. So if an idea we had was going to kind of lengthen the game or lengthen development, then we knew that it just wasn't going to work out.
Yeah. You really need to know what your game is. Like all our games have pillars going forward. Our new game has pillars. And you need to know what those are, what your game stands for, why you're making it, to be able to properly evaluate decisions when designing and implementing new features. And you don't want to go against the actual core of your game. Also, less is more in general. Like I've read so many things about, certain games will have like 2/3 of the like features or content cut from them and they're better because of it. So it's better to build a tight, small experience that you like feel that you can get right than to try to build something massive that you're going to be fumbling over for years. Yeah. Let's see. So question, when did you make the decision for Turnip Boy to work with the IRS goons in the final battle? Doesn't that go against the whole theme? I actually don't remember why
I think we really just wanted the dramatic like anime ending, and we felt like we had this idea of like the IRS kind of dunking on God Onion, and we just like loved that idea. Yukon added like a really cool system where like they're slightly transparent on the screen and they say their final words. We were like, that's so dramatic, that's beautiful. Like, so I mean, yeah, Turnip Boy commits tax evasion, you usually would probably go against the IRS, but in this case it's like the IRS is more of like Mayor Onion's goons. They're like it's the idiot radish squad, so it's not even really like tax related in that sense. So yeah, for the drama, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely. So our next question is from Vox Virus. Did you utilize any analytics to make game design decisions and adjustments, or just data you gathered from physical playtesting? If you have used any analytics, any suggestions to make and utilize useful analytics? No, we have not used any analytics throughout the entirety of development. It was pretty much all physical playtesting. We had a lot of, as we transitioned into COVID, we did a lot of online play testing. We had our friends play it and stream it. But yeah, we actually didn't use analytics at all, which I don't know if that's a good idea or a bad idea. The one thing that for me, I know is like one of the reasons why I've always been like against kind of doing it is just GDPR. It's more of like the legal side of like I have to build a screen that says, hey, do you agree? Make sure that if people want their data, they can get it, stuff like that. And that's important. And I don't know if I'm able to build the infrastructure to actually like do that effectively. So I don't feel comfortable taking people's data. If we do it like in the future, it's just for gameplay stuff. But it's not something that I like. I was taught in school to be very data driven and analytical, but if anything, I've done the complete opposite and it's worked. So I'm not saying that's what you should do, but like that's what I did and it worked out. I don't know. Do whatever makes sense for your game or you as a developer. So yeah, I'm sorry if that wasn't the answer that you wanted. Okay, so Tom Rigor says, at what point of making the game did you come with the ripping everything theme and all the stuff to collect?
Well, I do remember in the very beginning, because we came up with like the tax evasion like part of the game, and we were like, well, maybe we can add some more petty crimes. That would kind of be interesting. So at first we were thinking a petty crime system. So like say if you walked across the street, like or one of like the roads and you didn't use the crosswalk, you'd get like a jaywalking achievement or something. And
yeah,
but at the end of, again, that would kind of increase scope because we'd have to figure out all these different scenarios where Turnip Boy would be like committing all these different crimes, and like how would that achievement display, where kind of a document system seemed the most feasible with what like we could do.
yeah.
I do more of like the vector art. So we kind of created like a guide of how to create the documents, and we were able to kind of create them pretty quick to fit our needs. So that's kind of how that system came to be.
I think another big thing with that was there was a playtesting session that it really stuck with me. I don't know who told me this, but one developer came to me and they're like, I don't feel like I'm committing tax evasion. They're like, I want more tax evasion.
Yeah, it was like, you've already committed it, because Mayor Onion's like, you've committed tax evasion, and then that's kind of it, and then you just played the game. So there wasn't any other instance of like law breaking or chaos after that.
Yeah, and so what happened was I was like, okay, well, how do I do this? And it was something I was I was thinking a lot about, and so I ended up implementing this really modular document system where basically I can display a document on screen, and you can rip it, and it counts for something, and it's logged, and it's all saved, and that screen can appear anywhere. And I kind of just implemented it like as effectively as I did for shits and giggles. I was just like, oh, I don't know. I guess this system might be useful. And then people had a very positive reaction to that. And so we kind of just made it a core mechanic where throughout the game you can find tons of different documents. And we wanted to kind of give the player the feeling that they're covering up their tracks, so they're further committing tax evasion as well, which was very important for conveying, hey, you're committing tax evasion. So yeah, that was kind of the thought process behind that.
All right, it's getting a little late here. Let's do like 2 more.
Sure.
All right. And of course, folks can always join the Snoozy Kazoo Discord if they have further questions.
Yeah. I can send a link.
Here, I can grab it if you want to read the next question.
Sure, I got it.
Okay. I don't want to try to pronounce your name because I'm gonna fuck it up, but CK Ear Piff. I don't know. How did the post-apocalyptic aspect of the game come about? Was it there from the start, or did it just come later and seem like a nice fit? Turnip Boy, when it was a jam game, actually was post-apocalyptic. That was like one of the first things. It was like, you're a sentient turnip. I don't know. At that point, there was no nuclear waste stuff or anything. And it was like, you're trying to find a greenhouse. And so through the entire game in the jam, I wanted to do a thing where like, you would walk by, I wanted it to be really subtle at the time, but it's basically you would walk by like cars that are rusted and like overgrown and like tons of different like old relics from the old world. And so it kind of just build this like vibe. I was also watching a lot of Adventure Time at the time, so that definitely leaked into that. But that was the whole vibe that I wanted to go for. And then that just kind of always stayed and never went away. And it's a core aspect now.
Yeah, it's definitely been there since the very beginning. Yukon and I are very big horror game and horror movie fans too, so that definitely leaked in. I would say that the post-apocalyptic stuff was always there, but the mafia stuff at the end, which I kind of feel like adds to it, was definitely kind of not a last minute thing, but later in development for sure. But yeah.
Yeah, so that was a big thing, and I'm actually really happy that we ended up doing that, because the world that Turnip Boy's in is actually like behind the scenes. Like we joke a lot about it in the Discord. But we're actually not joking. There's a lot of lore, and there's a lot of things that we have actually like fully thought out. Like the whole spider turnip shit, that's real, and we plan to do shit with that going forward. Like we have a lot of plans. The next game right now we're talking about takes place 200 years after Turnip Boy. So expect the world to continue, and expect a lot of different like stories, and humanity is going to be interacting with these food folks. So expect a lot of that. So yeah, let's see. I guess the last question came from Tyler Haddad. And he asks, if you could go back and change one thing about Turnip Boy, content, feature, or dev process, what would it be? Jen, would you like to go first? Because I actually don't know what I would change.
I think it's definitely things we're going to bring into our next game, which is more of like, I would say some of the plant systems in Turnip Boy, we had to rework kind of on the spot because we realized they weren't going to work out as well as we thought. But that's just kind of iteration and just, yeah. But I guess now that we know that was a problem in our next game, we're going to try to work out the systems a little bit more and make it a little bit more cohesive. Yeah. So I guess not something I would change because it was all part of the process, but something we're definitely going to bring forward, I would say.
I think for me, a lot of it is code base related, probably. I'm pretty comfortable with the design decisions in Turnip Boy. I guess the one thing that I'm not the most comfortable with is the plant system. The plant system is like a hell to work with, not because of like code or anything, but because of like design, because every plant needs to have a synergy with another plant or all of the plants. And so that's why we don't like add a lot of side plants. I think like the only side plants were like the fruits and the flower. But for the most part, like it's always been hard to work with because it's like we want the puzzles to like kind of lead into each other. So like, you use bombs with paddle porters, you use move melons with paddle porters, you use fire with move melons. And that was just insanely difficult to design for. And it was something that made our lives hell late in development. Going forward with Snoozy games, we definitely want to keep doing unique mechanics, but it's not our priority anymore. Because I'd argue a lot of Turnip Boy's strengths are in its like writing and the characters and the story, and then the general feeling of it, and the vibe. I don't think that unique mechanics necessarily like led Turnip Boy to where it was. And while I want to do cool, unique things, it's not something I'm worth it's not something I view worth giving myself a headache on like a year later, so I think that's probably the big thing. Other than that, just like the code base, I'm rewriting all the core systems from scratch like tomorrow for the next game. So I do it a lot better. I think it's good, but I do it a lot better. So yeah.
Right. I think that is going to do it for us tonight. Thank you, Jen and Yukon, so much for coming out and joining us tonight and giving that great talk.
Thank you for having us.
One final question. Where can folks follow you to find out more about what's next for Snoozy Kazoo?
You can follow our Twitter, which is just at Snoozy Kazoo, or you could join our Discord. Actually, if you go to snoozykazoo.com/Discord, it'll just bring you straight to it. I think the Discord is probably the hub. So
it's definitely our central hub for like everything. So
there were a few people who had questions I think that didn't got to. Is that a valid sentence? So head on over to that Discord and ask these nerds some questions later.
Yeah, we have a questions channel, so just throw them in there. Perfect.
Sorry, I interrupted. Did you have more social links you wanted to mention or any of that kind of stuff?
We do have the TikTok, but we don't really post too often, but hopefully you'll see some more stuff there as well.
Yeah. Also, if you join the Discord, we have a links channel, and that has like everything.
Yeah.
So,
You don't want to shout out your personal Instas or anything?
My personal is at Snoozy Kazoo. My life is Snoozy Kazoo.
It's that indie life, baby.
Mine's at Kindle Sticks. I just post art stuff. So if you're interested, feel free to join.
If you want garbage tweets at Wainczak, I'm not even going to spell that. I don't want you to follow me. Follow Snoozy Kazoo.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Thanks everyone out there on Twitch for joining us. This will be on VOD if you want to watch it again, I guess. I'll probably put it on YouTube at some point. Again, Lightning Talks next month, September 20th. You can follow the meetup page at bostongamedev.com to find out more about that. And that's going to do it for us here tonight. Have a good night. I used to have a sign off, I feel like. But,
yeah.